Hello, everyone, and welcome to a championship edition of Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. I'm your
Woo!
host. I'm your host, Havokpus. I'm joined by Frozen, and we are vibing right now.
It was a weekend, and it was just another championship star added to the Cloud9 banner, which was pretty fucking huge.
Pretty huge, but to some Cloud9 fans, just another day at the office, just checking off those championship trophies. We got them all, Frozen. We got so many in our trophy case. What's one more? But it's still a big deal.
Yeah, huge deal. The boys completely deserved it.
Indeed.
Reaper deserved it 3 years ago, but we finally brought it home, and the flying popcorn onto the stream was
It was such
pretty
a great
incredible
time.
to see. Yeah, the flying popcorn, a broken trophy. What more could you expect?
Exactly. Emotions were high. And if you were following the championship, the next day after that championship, I'm sure many of you were. This little 420 joke for anyone that didn't get it. Anyway, don't boo me. I am funny. Let's your stoic silence says it all, Frozen.
Yeah, sorry.
But before we talk about the big game, there is some stuff that I wanted to touch on before that, and we were just catching W after W this weekend. DOTA2 actually won their first two matches after losing incredibly.
All you had to do was threaten disbandment.
Exactly. All I had to do was threaten them, and they're like, this guy's serious. We need to step it up. They beat Evil Geniuses 2-1, and then they beat Furia 2-0, which I think Evil Geniuses actually has like, or they at one point had like a very like scary, like I think didn't like their team win the international like a year or two ago. I think.
I'm not sure. I can look. In 2015.
Okay, so that was kind of ancient history now, but
Yeah.
it's and they probably don't even have like any of their people that played on Evil Geniuses anymore, because apparently like once the international is over, every Dota 2 team is just like, okay, you did this person, will take this person, and then everyone just kind of shuffles each other around for whatever reason.
Yeah, it looks like they have gotten a few new rosters since then.
Which is always interesting. It feels like that's one thing that Dota is very different from League, is that I feel like League doesn't shuffle rosters as much. Like, you'll keep people on to be like, okay, well, we can build off of what we did last split or last year, and try to work towards improving and getting better. Where Dota 2 is like, well, we failed against our goal. Fuck you guys. I'm going to this team now. You'll see, this has a better roster. And then even if you do well on that roster, people will probably leave, the next year anyway, no matter how successful you get, which is really odd. You'd think like if you did well one year, you would want to stick together to try to replicate success the next year.
Yeah, unless you're Cloud9, and then you keep bringing back the same failed
you,
teams
just bring
over
back
and
the
over
same
again.
people. It doesn't matter how many years it's been. You're like, we're gonna get Eternal Envy, we're gonna get Pile Die, we're gonna get Ace, and it's just, you just get the same people. I don't know if it's that no one else
Same
will sign them.
people, same results.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's that they can't get signed to other teams, or it's just like we just have them in our contacts. And maybe like Jack is just like, he wakes up, maybe he's been drinking a little bit, and he's just like, Envy, dude, we should make a Dota team again. And then Envy's like, what? And he's just like, I'll call Pi, and I'll call some other people. I'll email you the contract in the morning. And he just keeps like bouncing back to these same people, because like they're the only ones. It's like you're going to a party, and like you see like your friends there, and they're the only people that you know, so you just kind of gravitate towards them.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the BTS Pro Series stuff for the Americas. I got distracted.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, but we are done in BTS. We might be able to make playoffs if Business Associates gets swept. Tomorrow. No, today. Today meaning Tuesday. But sorry, continue on.
No, yeah, I'm pretty much up with Dota. I think it is cool that they finally were able to win a couple of matches after just like an insane, like pretty sad losing streak. So it at least shows that they can win. You know, I don't know what it takes for them to win, but
yeah, they went 0-2, 3 games in row, 1-2, then went 2-1, 2-0, 2-0. So they were definitely on to the upswing.
oh yeah, maybe it just took them a while to like gel and like find the good roster mix. So I think we have more than 5 players. So I think maybe they were like trying to swap people out and see what worked. But hopefully they can win more. We'll have to see. But moving on, another pretty good win for us. CS:GO has qualified for the DreamHack Masters event after beating Envy 2-1, and it was a pretty spicy match. I actually turned it off when they were losing on train. I thought like, well, there's no way that C9 can come back. You know, the disparity in rounds was so great. Envy was bound to win, but somehow Envy just choked, and we were able to beat them.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch that one, but
I think it was maybe going on the same time as the championship game.
oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. I was trying to
yeah,
maybe watch both of them at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing that tweet now.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of sucks scheduling wise, but it worked out.
Yeah. We still won, which is great, especially with sort of a come from behind victory that they did. And Envy, I think they have beaten us before, so it feels good to beat them and qualify for another sort of event. I think that the positives of this team is that they seem to not give up, and they seem to when they are hitting that groove and they find what's working in a match, they can win and they can qualify for these big events. I think the issue maybe is that once they get to these events and they face like higher level play, I think that's where they really struggle. But they need to encounter this kind of play to improve. So I think it's a double-edged sword of positives.
Yeah. I think that they've been performing a lot better recently. I think they've been holding their ground and not losing games that they really shouldn't be losing, but they did get their butt beat by who was it last week?
I think it was Havu.
I'm blanking. Havu. That's what it was.
Yeah, they lost to Havu in the Flashpoint playoffs. And yeah, they make a lot of mistakes. They're really interesting to watch because they are very like skirmish heavy. And it's really like they'll trade pretty heavily in terms of fights, and it's really interesting to see them play because I don't think Cloud9 had, at least in my knowledge, has been that skirmish heavy before. We definitely have some weak points. JT dies a lot, which is something that needs to improve, and I think that OC to a lesser degree. I think OC's honestly fine. He doesn't do a lot of mistakes, so he's not like bad, just like, look, you really need to improve. But I think that he gets overshadowed by like Sonic, Floppy, and MOTM a lot, so he's just kind of there. And I think they also need to, just make sure that their 3 big players are having more good days than bad days, because it really seems like if Sonic or Floppy or MOTM aren't in a groove and they're not playing well that day, their performance really takes a dip. And so they just need to make sure that the really good players are all on the same wavelength and can consistently be hitting highs and hitting those shots, so they're not, putting the rest of the team in jeopardy of a loss.
Yeah, and they're all, and what I've noticed also is that they're very streaky.
Yeah, they are. they'll win.
Drop 8 games and then win 10.
Yeah, they'll definitely like
Rounds.
win like a bunch of rounds early, and they'll be like, okay, no way we fucking lose this match, and then they just lose like 6 in a row, and then it's like a tie game, and it's like, you guys, what happened? What?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And that was super noticeable against the teams that they still ended up beating, but they also did that against Havu. I think I'm not sure what map it was, but they were winning
they
after
did that
T side. Yeah, they were winning T side like 9-7 or something, or 8-6 or 8-7, and then they just lost 8 games in a row, or 9 games in a row, and lost the map. Not pretty.
No, yeah, they definitely have some sloppy, ugly games. When they win, it's great, and when they win, it feels really great, and you feel really proud for them. But when they lose, it's kind of just like, man, you guys had them at some points. You know, you'll get them next time, I guess. You know, but that's kind of like, I guess, the expectations of having and this isn't to be insulting, but to have sort of a tier 2 level team kind of play. You know, you don't expect them to play at a super high, super consistent level. You know, so this is kind of expected, you know, and you're hoping that they can improve. But, you know, for that to happen, you know, it kind of takes a while, and you're hoping that things kind of go in the right direction.
Yeah, so they will play in DreamHack Masters North America which starts on May 19th, and they'll be playing in a group with 3 of 100 Thieves, Evil Geniuses, Furia Esports, Team Liquid, MIBR, Bad News Bears, and Gen G. So that should be fun.
That's a pretty. And we also get some former C9 reunions, because Gen G has Automatic and a couple other former C9 players from like the very last generation.
Liquid has Stewie 2K.
Yeah, that traitor. He is still a snake to me, and you cannot convince me otherwise for what he did to us.
Tarek is on Evil Geniuses.
Ooh, the second snake boy. I will also never forgive him.
Koos on Gen G. I think that's all I recognize.
Yeah. I think maybe Daps is also on Gen G, and he was on.
Yeah.
C9.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Good. I remembered him now. It took me a second, but yeah. So it's kind of a nice little C9 reunion squad tournament. Hopefully they can do well. I really want them to at least beat one of the C9 former C9 teams, just so we can say like, oh, we did it, we beat you.
Or we beat Gen G in Flashpoint. I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we beat Gen G in Flashpoint. And I don't really. That doesn't matter as much, because I don't have any bad blood against Automatic. Like, I actually admire him a good bit for him sticking with C9 for so long, especially after all of the struggles and all of the like revolving door roster iterations that he had to undergo. I honestly cannot say anything bad about him, and you know, he is a saint of patience for having to deal with all that and still trying to, you know, at least somewhat try to make things work. Tarek and Stewie, on the other hand, they kind of stabbed us in the back and forced us to pivot and make really quick decisions in terms of roster moves that we otherwise wouldn't have made. You know, the whole Stewie thing was really shitty because our roster was pretty much like, look, you know, you signed a deal and you were going to be playing with us for like another 3 years. And Jack already had the roster kind of set and what he was going to do. And then like after winning, and this was after us winning the major, and like a couple weeks, Stewie's like, yeah, MIBR gave me a pretty good offer. I want to play with them. And so it completely messed things up. And Tarek did kind of a similar situation. So I really can't forgive them for what they did to us.
Yeah, but now is a good chance to get
revenge.
Some revenge, and hopefully Gen G can offer them a couple losses also.
Yes.
Because there is a chance that we might not be in a group with them. I'm not sure how the groups are
Right.
being organized, but they have not been announced, so we just don't know yet.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. Hopefully Genji in C9 can deal some good revenge wins against Team Liquid and Evil Geniuses. But that's not for a few weeks, but definitely mark that on your calendars so you can tune in and watch. But let's move on to League of Legends Frozen, because we got 2 championship squads we have to talk about. I do want to give the Academy team the spotlight first, because they did 3-0 Evil Geniuses Academy in some pretty great games. And I gotta say, I'm actually really impressed with this Academy team, because they were losing a bit and they were looking kind of shaky at the start of the spring season. But then I don't know what they did, but what Reignover did, but they tightened it up and they went on this insane winning streak. And I don't think they dropped a game after one point. I think they had like a 12-game like win streak, including this series.
Yeah, it was stupid. I'm not sure what they did in the playoffs, but once they started off weak, someone just flipped a switch and they just never lost.
Oh yeah, I think.
And there were some good academy teams too. It's not like we were super stacked.
I think
Dignitas
Dignitas was actually more stacked in terms of talent, but they still ended up in like 8th place or something, which was really weird.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Dig if they didn't do that though.
Yeah, I really have to give it to Honori. I think like Palafox played, like, everyone deserves their own individual praise. Like, Palafox has played incredibly well in the mid lane. He has some like insane stats on a few champions in this series, but I really want to give it to Honori, because his career's been kind of turbulent. You know, he comes on Phoenix 1, he has this really cool like breakout split, and he's looking like one of the next big like North American junglers, and then he just kind of burns out. And there were a few seasons where we just didn't see him play at all, and I think he was maybe kind of working on himself. But he comes back to C9, and then it takes him a little while, but he was looking really good this series. Like, game 2 against Evil Geniuses, he's 6-0 and 16. You know, that's an insane KDA, and I think that he's definitely bounced back in a good way, and I'm hoping that C9 can really help him get back on track to playing in the LCS, because this whole team, I think, really deserves it for how they played, including the Oceanic boys in Fudge and King.
Oh yeah, and in some semifinals, he popped off on Cassidy, and I'm trying to find the actual game.
Oh yeah, that
he had
game
16,
was so filthy.
He had a 16 minute pentakill.
I saw that. It was absolutely insane.
I'm trying to figure out his final score, but at 21 minutes in a game, he had 11 kills. It's loading. It's loading. He ended up 17-2-7.
Oh god.
On Cassidy in a 31 minute game.
That's insane.
That's brutal. So I'm not sure if he earned himself an LCS spot next year, just due to the fact that LCS teams suck at scouting and picking up talent. But I feel like he gave himself a good shout over some of the really bad mid lane.
I think everyone has done so. I think there's a really good conversation with C9 Academy players in terms of, what would you rather do? Would you rather stay on the Academy team, play in the minor leagues, but make still like a pretty good, decent amount of money and be successful in the minor league, versus being removed from the Cloud9 system, going up to the LCS stage and playing in the big leagues, but you may not have that same level of success? Because we see like Kumo and some other players that have been with C9 or have been in C9 Academy and have been under kind of our system, and as soon as you take them out of that system, their performance drops off. Like, Contracts is a really good example of, when he played for C9, he looked really good, and it looks like he was going to be developing into this insane jungler. But then he's like, hey, I want to go play for another team. Jack is like, okay, and then now he's playing in 100 Thieves Academy, and he's just looking like a shadow of what could have been. Kumo, kind of the same thing. Kumo and Zazel on Evil Geniuses.
Stuntscaren did that.
Yeah. I think that the Evil Geniuses roster, I think we have to give them kudos for they had a really bad start, but they ended up third, which I think, considering where they started and how they ended, was really great. But how they played individually was just like, if you're on Cloud9, I don't think that you would have been playing like this. Because Kumo looked really good when he was playing on Cloud9, and especially in the few games he had to sub in for Licorice, because Licorice was dealing with some wrist issues.
And I really don't think he played that poorly overall. I mean, he wasn't a standout player by any means, but he was forced to play weak side a lot, and
yeah, I think
he
that
wasn't
definitely hurts. Like,
given a lot of support to carry the game or play the game.
I think that really hurts like a new player. Like, this is Kumo's first like starting split, and you're forcing him to play weak side like every game. That's definitely going to hurt how he performs. And I think that how Evil Geniuses played some other games definitely didn't help him either.
Yeah, I hope he keeps an LCS spot for next year, because I feel like he has a lot of growth left in him.
Yeah, for sure. And I do want to talk about kind of our expectations for next split a bit later. But I think we can just move on to the big win, the big championship win of Cloud9 3-0ing FlyQuest in a dominant series to secure that spring split trophy.
Yeah, and they really made it look easy too.
Oh yeah, I think the weird thing was that for 2 games, FlyQuest just allowed Cloud9 to get set, which is who's like an extremely like overpowered top laner. And they leave set open. Like, C9 would ban it most of their games because they know how strong set is. But FlyQuest were like, okay, we'll leave it open and we'll give solo Ornn. But we played so much better around set. I think especially game 1 was a comp that I didn't expect us to win, considering FlyQuest had such better damage from Aphelios and Azir, as well as engage from Ornn and Pantheon and Blitzcrank. Like, if Blabber, Niski, or Sven ever get caught out, they're just dead. But we end up like there's just this breaking point where we win some really good fights, and then the game's just over, and we just steamroll the rest of the way through. Niski was apparently like 6-2 and 7. Sven is 8-2 and 5. Some really nice playing on C9's part from a draft that on paper you're looking at a lesser draft.
Oh yeah, it was actually kind of a bad draft. The Kindred ultimate was countered by both Azir, who was incredibly strong at one point in time, and the Blitzcrank, but they just didn't do anything. Like, at the end of the game, actually, Power of Evil Flame Horizon Niski, but they couldn't do anything throughout the whole game. So it really failed on them trying to play the game that they did.
Yeah, I think for how well Ignar was playing in this playoffs, I think that C9 did a really good job of recognizing that if Ignar can't do anything, a lot of FlyQuest's potential is really minimized. And like on the first 2 games, like his Blitzcrank was pretty useless. He wasn't able to hit a lot of really game-changing hooks. And he wasn't able to make a lot of those big hook plays. So FlyQuest's catch potential really drops, and he really wasn't able to maximize Blitzcrank. Second game is Alistar. He played even worse, actually. And he just couldn't do anything. I think we had a much better combination game 2, where we had like a lot of knockups. We had a lot of safety with the Thresh Callista combo. The Blabber, the Gragas Yasuo combination from Niski and Blabber has always been solid, and we were able to do some really great knockups. And we only allowed 6 kills and 2 towers from FlyQuest in that game, and we just steamrolled them. then I think the last game we leaned into our strengths again. Licorice is really good in either side of the Ornn Aatrox matchup. The Jarvan Rumble combination is really good for getting some really good equalizers. Aphelios is just a super OP champion, and Sven is really good at it, and we get the Thresh again. So I think that overall, just from drafting, outside from game one, that I think C9 really shouldn't have won, but I think that their play was just superior. We had really great drafts going to games 2 and 3.
Actually, in game 2, I was looking at the pick order. Cloud9 drafted all their own champions.
Oh, did they?
So Licorice got Licorice drafted Set. Then the next round they went
yeah,
Gragas, Yasuo. Yeah, then after the bans they went Kalista, Thresh.
And I have to say, oh, I'm sorry.
But I feel like FlyQuest even had a good draft to disrupt the Yasuo Gragas combo. But there was a lot of knockup potential between the Thresh Flay, the Kalista ultimate, Set's ultimate. But
and Set's
the
little
Syndra
thing.
The Syndra, Alistar, Ornn, and Rek'Sai all have huge disruptions to mess with that, but they just weren't good enough, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I want to talk about Sven's Kalista because apparently he's just really good at Kalista. And I was looking at some of the comments from other threads, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Sven's Kalista is legendary. We just all forgot about it because he hasn't played it in so long." And he was on TSM, and TSM just sucks out any sort of talent and potential that you offer. And he went 9-0 and 9 on Kalista, and he was just
9-0 and 9,
completely stomping them on that pick.
Yeah, he made it look easy. Like he was so far up on Wild Turtle that it wasn't fair. He finished with 4 items at 30 minutes, and no one else had more than 3. So he was extremely fed. But actually, Licorice did more damage than him that game.
Yeah, well, I think that's expected just because Kalista isn't really about a lot of up threat damage. She's sort of a ramping up to a point where I've stacked so many spears off of you. When I press my E to rend, I'm either going to one-shot you at whatever point you're at, or you're going to be so low that you can't fight afterwards, and someone else is going to clean up. And honestly, looking at the scores and everything, that's really how he played. Like Niski and Licorice and Blabber, they were all cleanup crew, and Sven is really just kind of the setup man. Him getting 9 kills is amazing in and of itself.
Fun fact, actually, Ornn did more damage than Kalista did.
That's really funny.
Yeah, Set did 18.9 thousand damage, Ornn did 16.5 thousand damage, and then Kalista did 15,000.
Do you think that
kind of incredible?
Do you think that FlyQuest should have at some point, like maybe around like game 2 or probably game 3, do you think they should have went away from picking Ornn just because they played it in all 3 games, and as great of a pick that Ornn is because of his engaged potential, as well as you're basically getting free stats, and so whatever items that you're getting, the gold value increases exponentially, and you're becoming so much stronger through his upgrades. But they seem to really struggle to make that pick as great. And it could be that Licorice is just really familiar with Ornn matchups, but if you look at how he played on Set and Aatrox, he seems to have really made the Ornn not that great of a pick for FlyQuest, really not as ideal as they were probably wanting it to be.
Yeah, I feel like that wasn't really the problem, but they didn't go away from it to try anything new, just to see if they could find some picks elsewhere. But I mean, Niski outroamed Power of Evil really hard in all 3 games. Sven just completely outclassed Wild Turtle, and I'm not really sure if Solo could have done anything to counteract that on a different pick. Though I do think they did hold the Ornn a little too high in value, though. Like they could have tried to go Aatrox or something like that.
And then maybe that was C9's game plan. I think that they realized like there are way better priority picks than Ornn, and they felt that look, if we leave Ornn up, they're gonna take it because of how much value other teams have set on it. If we give them Ornn, we have these prepared matchups ready in case they do. So I think they felt fairly comfortable letting Ornn go, and it makes sense. You know, we've gotten a bunch of other power picks. You know, we got the Yasuo Gragas comp off. We got the Veigar comp, which is an interesting counter to Azir because Azir to get in range of his soldiers is the exact same range as Veigar has on his cage. So it makes it to this point where Azir really can't fight Veigar, and once Veigar scales, he can get to a point where he outscales Azir in terms of damage, at least through like the burst damage. And then Niski on Rumble mixed with J4 and Aatrox and all these knockups and everything. His equalizer actually has a lot of value. I remember last time we played Rumble, we didn't really have a lot of ways to secure people down to have the Rumble ult be really effective. You know, I think we only had like Varus' Chains of Corruption. But this game we actually had a lot of really good tools to allow people to stay in one spot and really maximize that equalizer damage. And also Niski's roaming just makes him a much more valuable player. You know, I think a lot of mid laners we've seen this season stick to, well, I'm going to farm my lane and try to get a really good push going, then I can maybe get an early back, or maybe then I can roam. But Niski's mentality of, it's okay to sacrifice CS. I think he's shown that it's okay to sacrifice your minion wave and your CS as long as you are roaming to other lanes and getting picks and getting other advantages elsewhere. So when the team fight phase comes around, him individually may not be as strong, but if Sven is like 30 to 50 CS up and Licorice is like 2 kills up on the other top laner, you know, that advantage is just displaced elsewhere to maybe a more, you know, a better champion.
I feel like a Rumble, it might be the most Niski champion this split. I'm not sure which one he played the most, but it just feels like
I think it's
every time he was on.
I think it's definitely Zoe.
GG.
He played Zoe a lot.
He did play Zoe a lot. No, but I feel like Rumble's his like style of play.
Oh yeah.
Said W Q E E W or run down, press R and bam.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a very Niski
for a kill.
Yeah, it's a very Niski pick because the Flame Spitter, once you get enough AP and magic penetration, like you just cue the wave, the Flame Spitter will kill it all, so you get a really good push, and then you have all the freedom to just, I can go wherever I want now. You know, if I wanted to like even just do like a river like range like equalizer and just walk into the river and be like, oh well, bot lane needs some help, walk, and then just equalizer so Vulcan can, as Vulcan hits a hook or something, he could even just do that. So it's a very like, it's definitely what Niski wants in a pick, to where I get a good shove and then it allows me to roam and then help out wherever I need to be.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what he's doing to like stay up or stay equal in resources, but he was down 20 in ECS at 10 minutes already. But that third game, but he makes it look so easy and effortless.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
and I need to figure out what he's doing because I'm a wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he does to stay in the game so well despite sacrificing so many waves to always like be roaming for like neutral objectives and to help gank lanes. But he somehow balances it out to a point to where I don't like, no team has really been able to deal with that, and we're always having like these really good like uneven fights where we're like 3v2 or you know or something. And it's pretty great. But I think enough about gushing the individual games. What do you think? How did you feel in the moment that we finally beat the Nexus, and what do you think it means for Cloud9 to finally get a trophy after just like 6 years of constant second places, of constantly not being able to go the distance? We've finally shown that we are an incredibly dominant team, and we finally get the trophy that our hard work has kind of always deserved.
Yeah, it was an amazing feeling. I wish it was at a live venue just to like see the emotions on screen, to see the emotions of the crowd. But it's not something we could experience in the monument. But I was sitting in my girlfriend's apartment trying and not to freak out too much because she doesn't get it, and was making dinner. So what I did is instead was to try and out tweet you during the moment
You were
because
doing pretty good.
I was feisty. So
Yeah.
it felt great. I saw you posted something of you, a video, correct?
It was just a picture, and I was extremely happy. I wanted to capture exactly the feeling of joy in that moment of when the Nexus blew up and we won the trophy. I was super happy. I think for me, from going from being a fan of this team to watching them like reverse sweep through that gauntlet run to go to Worlds, to seeing the team constantly improve, but at the same time, like at certain points in playoffs, whether it be like in the semifinals or in the finals, we got second place and we get kicked out. Oh, we narrowly lost again and we lost, for second place, to, getting like really upset at some points and us like not being able to go through it. And I was so worried even in this match, like, oh, we're going to throw it away again. We're cursed. We're always going to be like the second banana and there's going to be a team over us. To finally, and especially in kind of cataloging this all, doing the show, to finally just see us get like an LCS championship, I think it's incredibly worth it, and it's such a great moment. And even with people saying that, oh well, spring split doesn't matter, I think that moments like this, it really does matter. And even though that there's no like big international implications, especially this year with MSI being canceled, I think it's still worth it. And I think that for moments like this, it really does make spring split worthwhile. And I'm not just saying that just because we won.
Yeah, and like it'll always be the the win will always be in the record books, and that's not something you can take away from us. There'll always be a banner up in LCS studios for Cloud9 Spring 2020, and I think what the even crazier about it was the circumstances surrounding it. Like, this is a generation defining month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months for an entire generation of people growing up. And one of the biggest moments during this quarantine is Cloud9 winning the LCS. Like, nobody's gonna remember TSM beating Cloud9 in spring of season 5. But if you ask
I'll still
anyone,
remember, but
yeah,
that's because it
I know
hurt.
that was my first competitive or my first time watching competitive LCS. But yeah. But in 10 years, if League is still going on, people are going to remember the quarantine in Cloud9 dumping popcorn on each other and breaking the LCS trophy.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely going to be one of the more memorable finals. Sort of the finals that wasn't kind of thing. I think it's still great. I'm really excited once we do kind of get back into people being able to be in large crowds and to be in large venues, to see sort of the banner being put up, and to seeing Cloud9 2020 being put on sort of the row of teams that won championships. I think it'll be really great because I believe they've taken down our 2014 banners for those 2 championships that they won way back when, just because they were running out of room, and so they had to start taking down older championships to make way for the banners for the newer ones. And so it'll feel good to see a C9 logo back up on that banner row again.
Yeah, Yeah, and I'm hoping that we can run at the gauntlet and do it again, because I think this team has shown that they're special and have a willingness to work. And honestly, Springs or Summer Split can't come fast enough.
Yeah, for sure. I think that what C9 has really done in the offseason and changing their whole culture and bringing in players that are extremely dedicated. Kind of to talk about the elephant in the room, people will probably ask or say, well, if Sneaky was still on the team but they got Vulcan, would C9 go this far? And personally, and this is just a personal feeling, I don't think so, just because look at how dedicated Sven has been throughout this entire season. He has grinded games on different champions to understand like fundamentally how they work. He's grinded games, to make Syndra Bot work, because he's played some Syndra Bot games and he has made it a point to where he can play that. Sneaky, his one of his biggest issues, especially as the bot lane meta had evolved to where you could kind of had to play mages, was he really struggled with that. I'm not sure if when we got Vulcan, he would have been like, yeah, let's go to Korea by ourselves for like a few weeks to really build up our synergy. Just us two. He's never really shown to want to really grind out to form like a connection, a synergy with his support duo. Unlike Sven and Vulcan, who have went above and beyond, I think, to make sure that they are a strong link in the Cloud9 chain. And I think that, what was he holding us back all along? I don't think so. I don't think every single season he was the weak link and he was holding us back. Last year, I think there were some cultural points to where, yeah, he kind of was. And I think there definitely needed to be a change in that area to elevate us. And I think that's what needed to happen.
I mean, I don't think that's a discussion I'm ready to go into quite yet.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
I did want to bring it up just because I think that's something that a lot of people are talking about, and that's definitely a discussion point that everyone's kind of having somewhat.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I think that this was finally a team that Reaper and Jack crafted on their own, and that we should be extremely proud of what they did this year so far.
Oh, 100%. This is definitely Reaper and Jack's team.
I saw something somewhere. It said that the 3 highest winning percentages of any team throughout a split, were Cloud9. All 3 of them were Cloud9 from our championship days back in CE4.
And this
so
is
it was like this year, then those 2.
Yeah, this year is our most winningest split. But C9 has
of
always
all
been,
time.
Of all time.
Yeah, in LCS.
And C9 has always been a really strong team. We've finished second so many times that I can't even count. And I think that goes to show that we've consistently been strong. But this year, we've been able to, put a couple notches above and really elevate ourselves. But before, I do want to also talk about what are kind of the expectations for next split. But I do want to just give a quick shout out to FlyQuest and all the FlyQuest fans. They did something really great this split, and I didn't really expect a lot out of this roster. With what they were working with, I didn't, you wouldn't really expect them to like go super far, but they were able to get second, for the first time in their organization's history. And I think they've come a long way from just being like Cloud9 white and being, this is FlyQuest, they are a strong team. They kind of have that whole greater than the sum of their parts aspect going. And I think that they were able to do something really cool and something that, you didn't really expect them to do. And I think that you do have to kind of congratulate them on that.
Or yeah, and same to Evil Gene is too.
Oh yeah,
they came in for their first split and played extremely well. I think that they were 2 of the bigger stars of the split, and that a lot of older LCS orgs should be extremely disappointed to what they've fallen to at this point, including CLG, Team Liquid, TSM, and even Dig to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good transition point to talk about next split. Out of all the old guard teams, we're actually the only one I think that has been relatively consistent throughout our successes and our performance. TSM has really fallen off. I think their culture has gone to a really bad point. I think they really operate on this kind of, they set expectations, but they don't really give you a lot of resources to build you up to reach those expectations. They just say, look, we want you here. You need to get yourself there. And I think there maybe is also, I haven't watched a lot of their behind the scenes stuff lately, but I remember last time watching it, there's just a lot of like finger pointing and a lot of like, well, you did this and that's why you messed up this game. And they just don't operate to a well point of trying to foster talent. Like anyone who seems to come into TSM, they obviously, or honestly, I think just like drop like 2 levels or so, just because they seem to hold players back with coaches not listening to their players and other things. Team Liquid is going to be really interesting because this has to be a really big black eye for them to go in off of finishing 4 championships in a row, looking for their 5th, and then finishing 7th place. And also at the risk of losing double lift.
They finished 9th place.
Oh, 9th place. That's even worse.
Yeah, 9th place. That was 7 wins.
Ouch.
Yeah. So, Team Liquid and CLG brought up the rear.
Yeah, I think also just to talk about CLG, it kind of sucks that like CLG has been, I think, an org that I've always kind of liked because they run off of this whole thing of like everyone counts us out, but we through like believing and being greater than the sum of our parts, we can win. And that was kind of the appeal of CLG, especially that roster that went on to go to MSI and go to like the MSI finals. Everyone was like,
that was a really fun team.
It was a super fun team. I think Huhi was like, even though everyone was like shitting on Huhi, I saw like him get better and better like almost each game, and it was so fun.
Again.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch him develop, as well as just they just kept winning somehow, and they're like, man, this team's really fun. And now CLG is like, Ruin in the top lane has not been playing well. Wiggly, I think they need to change their jungler. They have who's their mid laner? It's Paul Belter. It used to be Crown, but then Crown was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, he was garbage for half of a split, which was absolutely bizarre.
I think it was unacceptable on Crown's part. Someone who has won Worlds and who is able to play at that level, Crown should not be playing like how he played.
No, but that they did look better once Paul Belter came in.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They are.
It was way too late, but
not in a good position.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on what's going to happen next split? There's a lot of potential moves that are going to be maybe made by certain teams. What do you kind of anticipate?
I'm most interested to see two things. One, who gets double lift, and 2, who Team Liquid plays at AEDC afterwards, because they have both import slots taken up at the monument with what's his face, the support
Core JJ,
and then Broxa. Are they going to send Broxa back to EU or something, or
that would hurt so much if I was Broxa?
Yeah, or are they going to get an NA ADC, which is their backup? I'm blanking on his name. Would
Tactical.
Be an option.
Tactical looked pretty good actually when he slotted in.
So would you want tactical in that lineup that is star-studded and being paid a crap ton, and then you just bring in tactical just because you need an ADC? But I feel maybe like their best option could be Sneaky.
I've heard also that Dig is maybe looking to get Sneaky. which would be because Dig is going to blow up their whole roster because Hooney and paying him like $2 million really did work out.
If Dig
Sneaky has
drops
a lot of options.
Johnson, if Dig drops Johnson, they deserve every bad thing that.
Oh yeah,
happens
like
to
I could
them.
totally see, like if you're talking about Team Liquid getting ADCs, there's a pretty good pool. They have tactical. They could use an import to, if TSM's going to get double lift, they could probably just do a trade of TL getting Kabe for double lift.
But then they'd have to drop Core or Broxa.
Right. Exactly. They'd have to drop someone. So if they're not going to go, if they're going to keep Broxa and Core, they're probably going to have to get a new top laner. I really don't foresee Impact staying on the team after the performance that he gave this split.
I think he will.
He could. Like he's a solid player.
I think he'll finish off the year. I think part of the reason that they'll keep him is because he counts as a native player now.
Yeah, I could see them. I could see them doing that just to like wait for the end of the year and see who all is available, and then really shuffle things up because Steve has like infinite money basically. I would not be surprised if by the end of the year they get some super star-studded top laner to replace Impact. But for domestic ADCs, at least for this, they could if double sleeves, they could go for Johnson. Sneaky would technically be an option, yeah. Tactical would be like probably a really good budget choice since he's already on the team. They could go into the academy pool. They could sign King if they really wanted to. But yeah, they have a lot of choices. It's going to be interesting.
Or King counts as an import, right? Because he's from Oceania.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. Because he's from
Oceania.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a small pool to pick from.
Yeah, that's true.
Academy. So I feel like they have to either go for Sneaky or Johnson.
I could see that. I'm more curious to see what's going to happen with the super low underperformers of this season. Like we had like Ruin and Wiggly on CLG. They really struggled. You had Ica and Ryoma both just like sucking it up and everyone being like, why did you pick these players when we have, and like as import slots when we have perfectly fine native mid laners that probably would play about the same.
Ica on Immortals 2 is probably scared for his job at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely would be if I was Ica, just because you perform that badly. I think Ryoma too. There's going to be some really interesting changes. Ryoma did so. For Ryoma, he did play a lot better at the end of the split versus when he started. I think Ica didn't really show that much improvement.
I think Ryoma showed enough to keep a spot for next split.
I can dig that. I can totally go down with that. I'm really curious what Dignitas is also going to do, just because, like I said, they're going to blow up their entire roster for it, potentially.
Yeah, and I feel like if they drop Johnson, then they deserve everything that's coming 100%. To them.
Johnson was like one of the few saving graces for that team. Like he played so hard, despite the fact that they like basically threw away their split for how they performed.
If they can find a jungler, I really don't think their team's all that bad. If they run Damonte mid, Johnson ADC, they could get a Nori jungle, Huni top, and then find an actual support that's not a troll.
Yeah, I don't know. Wait, so Dignitas was that was that Golden Guardians that had Huni and Keith?
Huni and Keith is Golden Guardians.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Afro may be done as a support player. I think from what I've seen him play recently, it seems like he just doesn't have that kind of spark that made him like the support that everyone wanted to play with anymore. I think they may definitely fill that slot in with someone else.
Yeah, but it sounds like they're going to blow up the Huni stuff too, which would surprise me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Like you pay the man like over $2 million to be like, look, you're going to be like our star. You're going to be the guy that we kind of play around, and then he plays like that, and forces you to go to like they went to like 8th place, didn't they?
Who?
Dignitas.
They got 7th.
Okay, but like they were like in contention at one point to be like the 2nd place team, and they just like dropped down so far through just poor performance.
Or yeah, it will be interesting. I'm also interested to see who gets called up, like called up from Academy. Like Breezy maybe deserves a spot from Hunter Thieves Academy. So Nori, maybe Mike Young. Like there's players there, and I'm hoping that some LCS teams take a look at Academy, but before just recycling all of the crappy old guard players like Afromu and even Froggen to an extent.
Yeah, I honestly think that Cloud9 is the only team that takes fostering and developing talent seriously for their academy stuff. Every other team seems to just be like, we'll sign them because we are required to by Riot in order to be in the franchise. We have to have a minor league academy team. But Cloud9 seems to be like, we're going to sign these players because we see something special in them, and we want to grow and make sure that they can play better than they were playing when they first came in. And that's clearly successful in what we did for the spring season this year. I think anyone on Cloud9 definitely deserves it. I would really love to see Mike Young get a second chance in academy. Like him in contracts, I think, they struggled and they had some bad performances. It would be really interesting to see like what they can do if they got a second shot and they were maybe on different teams. Like Mike Young playing for TSM, that's just a bad idea. I think, I'm not sure if I'd want to play on TSM just for how notoriously they just seem to make their junglers dumber and play worse than they were coming in.
Or yeah, both of them are 20 now, so they're still young.
Yeah, like they had a lot of potential coming into the scene, and I think that that hasn't actually been realized. And I think that if they get on a good team and they can get into a good system, they can get back to where they were. But it'll take a lot of work, but I'd really like to see them get second chances, because those are names that I really haven't seen or heard a lot from in a while.
Yeah, no, same. But I think that's enough split talk for this episode, because a lot of stuff is going to happen leading up to the beginning of the summer split in June, and we will have another huge preview show once that happens. But I have to imagine Cloud9 is not going to see much turnover on the LCS roster. But I think if teams are smart, which they have never proven to be, there could be there could be some turnover on our academy team.
Yeah, I think if you're the LCS roster, you would be kind of stupid to leave. I think, you just won a championship. You had your most dominant split ever in history. You stay on that team, and I think Jack would definitely give people pay raises and more incentives to play, just because like, hey, we had a really great thing and it worked out really well. Let's see how far we can make this great thing continue to go. So I don't think anyone leaves going into summer. I could definitely see the academy players leave, and they deserve to leave. That's the whole point of academy, is to do well, grow, get recognized by an LCS team, and then move up to the top of the, to the big stage. It would suck to see them leave, but it's also really a really happy occasion, because it's like you got to go and play on the LCS stage, and that's why we're here in academy. So I would really love to see our academy players get and move on to bigger things.
Yeah, and I think that probably starts with Nori in Palafox. It sucks that King counts as an import, I believe, but
Yeah.
maybe Diamond. But I guess we'll just see.
Yeah, I'm not sure how our recording schedule is going to go after this since the finals are over. We'll probably do episodes a bit more sporadically. Of course, if there's big news, big wins, of course we'll come back. I think the London Spitfire schedule, they've finally coordinated some things, and I believe they start playing again in May, like early May. Let me see if I can find it on the website. Nope, can't. But they tweeted out that their schedule is going to be back on track. They're going to start playing again in May. So we'll maybe do episodes, like shorter episodes talking about just that and maybe some other stuff. But thank you all for listening. I'm super proud of Cloud9. I'm super proud of all of you fans for sticking not only with us as a show, but C9 as a team through all of their ups and downs. Thank you for listening. Remember to follow us at C9 Bodied. And yeah.
We are champions again. Bye, guys.